Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PSGL Season 41 F3 Division. We are here for Round 6, the Spanish Grand Prix, as the championship battle continues to twist and tighten after what easily craziest finish of the season so far last week at the Austrian Grand Prix. And what a race. Austria gave us everything. A stunning qualifying session from Melvin to take pole, but the real drama unfolded where Melvin committed to a one-stop strategy, controlling the race from the front, but behind him, Milan Diosso and Vicar rolled the dice. They went for aggressive two-stop strategy, pushing flat out from lights to flag, and it paid off right to the death. And on the final lap, it was Milan who caught Melvin, made the move and snatched the victory. The Vicar's first win of the season and arguably Milan's best performance yet. D'Amico completed the podium with a calm, consistent P3 despite getting held up while one of the drivers ahead. Junkie Angle took P4. KDRDN continued his strong rookie season in P5 and solid mid-4 points with Kingsman, Levi and Raw keep the constructors battle alive across the board. And after all that, here is the driver standings from heading into Spain. Melvin is on 51 points ahead of Polimachi, who was left, promoted up to F1 on 50 points. D'Amico is on 49 points ahead of Milan Diosi with 47, and Junkie Angle is on 32 points. The top four, 51, 50, 49, 47. There is 4 points to choose from the top four, but we know Polimachi is not here as he's promoted. But in the constructors, McLaren still lead the way on 102 points, but Alpine 63 and VCAR 52 are both climbing fast, especially with Milan's win injecting real momentum into their campaign. But tonight we are at the Spanish Grand Prix, Catalunya, one of the most complete and technical circuits on the calendar, a track that drivers all know well, and a track that's brutally exposed its weakness as well. 4.60 kilometre in length, 40 corners, a mix of high speed, medium speed and technical low speed sections, and a long right-hander at turn 3, the front left tyre killer, and a lot of load as well onto the left front tyre. Spain is traditionally a race of pure pace, and it can be very difficult indeed and horrible on tyre wear. But let's see how it pans out tonight. It is round 6 of the Spanish Grand Prix, and the championship is still wide open. My name is Jamie Morris, and alongside me tonight is Milan Langer. How you doing, mate? Welcome.
Thank you very much, and I'm doing very well so far, so thank you for the introduction. So it's good to be back here at Spain tonight. Bit of a middle ground track, if I have to say so myself, with all sorts of corners around this track here at Barcelona Catalunya, so looking forward to see what we can do as well. And like you said, tire wear can be an issue around here, but of course that doesn't matter right now. Here in qualifying, it's all about getting the maximum lap time, the quickest lap time, and the first one to try to do that is Provotox as he comes out of the final corner in the Ferrari, full throttle down the start, finish straight, burning a bit of battery. We want to have at least have to bid for the remaining of the lap, so down to 70% as we go in towards the braking zone of turns 1 and 2. Can be quite tricky to get right and flat out on the exit, and then we go flat out through turn 3 as well, very narrow to the inside there. So you want to minimize track distance through that corner down to the brake zone of turn 4. Have to be mindful of the grass on the inside, then early on throttle on exit and going downhill into the brake zone to the next left-hander, very tight on the inside with the curbs and letting it run out wide on the exit curb. Now down into one of the trickiest parts of this track, this left-right chicane, especially with that sausage curb on the exit, can really catch you off guard, but he goes through there cleanly and flat out through the right-hander, coming on to the back straight, the second DRS straight, and now down in the braking zone of this very long left-hander, which has been adjusted a couple of years ago. Used to be a very tight hairpin, and now going through the right-hander, the final slowest corner, and then go flat out all the way towards the finish line and use the last bit of battery remaining in the tank as he comes out of the final corner. The first lap time on the board is going to be a valid one, and it's going to be at 11.763. And let's see who is going to be able to beat that. There's more drivers out on track. Junkie Angle is one of them in the Mercedes. Always one of the drivers to go out quite early. KDRDN with 116.1, so definitely backed off on his lap and can go much quicker. Also is D'Amico coming out of the final corner, one of our championship protagonists. He goes quickest with a 111.512. And then we see the Mercedes of Junkie Angle, who unfortunately has invalidated in the final sector, so his lap time will not count. Mighty Wombat goes into P3 with a low 12.2, and then it's the other Ferrari of C8 Lou making their way to cross the finish line. It's going to be 11.8, just behind their teammate, and then right behind is Milan Diosi starting his flying lap. We'll take a look at him in a minute as Moikuri returning face, as he was there for the opening round but hasn't raced since, but good to see him back as well. So Melvin on his first lap does an 11.8 to put him in P3, 3 tenths behind the Maiko at the moment in P1 in the Alpine.
11.5 is a decent bank lap, considering as well pole lap time from F2 is an 11.1. So we're 4 tenths away from the best lap time for Formula 2, F2, sorry, that happened a couple of minutes ago. I think we're still racing there, just a couple of stuff to go in that series. But the Grandada goes up into P4 in the Alpine, then decent from him. Had a decent result back at the Monaco Grand Prix, but I don't think he raced back at the Austrian Grand Prix too. It was a wet qualifying session last time out, and it was Melvin who took pole. He's very strong in terms of qualifying, taking 3 wins in a row, but got denied in Monaco and got denied at the Austrian Grand Prix as well on the final lap of the race after he decided to do that one-stop strategy, which almost paid dividends, but 1 lap too late, as it was Milan Diossi who managed to claim the victory from the McLaren driver to set up his campaign and start building his momentum for this championship. Because like I said, it's Melvin, Milan goes up into P2, Milan, Melvin and Demico, the ones watch out for me as well. In the background, I do see the likes, the Sauber goes up into P2, that's a mega lap time. The finishman of Mokalai goes up into P2 with 11.634, that's a very competitive lap time indeed. He's a quick driver, I've seen him elsewhere in different leagues, as Napoli goes surprisingly up into P2. I say surprisingly because he has struggled dearly as well this season with multiple DNFs and also outside the top 10. He started P14 back at the Austrian Grand Prix too. I don't think he got a final lap in on the board when the track conditions were starting to get better. But look at the gaps between second and fourth place. They are mighty close between them. Under 200ths of a second between second and fourth place. So this is going to be a close qualifying battle and to watch out for as well. Here comes Justin in the Mercedes then. What can he do as the Merc goes up into P6 there and he qualified P11 at the Austrian Grand Prix too. He has also got some decent race pace on his hands as well when he put it all together. And back at the Monaco Grand Prix as well when he competed with his teammate, I think it was... who was his teammate? Oh yeah, Junkie Angle in P16. Junkie Angle is also a driver to watch out for as well because, yes, he hasn't got the pace to compete with the top 3, but he's always there in fourth place and he always picks up some decent points as well. So watch out for him. He's also wants to be competitive, but he just can't seem to hook it up when he needs to do when it comes to the most important times as well. He's currently P5 in the championship with 32 points with only 1 podium to his name, 5th and 4th in Austria and also back at the Monaco Grand Prix as well. And DeMarco then currently holds first place with 11.512. Still searching, however, for his first win of the season. He's got 3 podiums, third and second, but unfortunately cannot convert it into a win. And he almost did at the Monaco Grand Prix, but unfortunately got beaten by strategy after being undercutted twice from Melvin there in 8th place. So DeMarco's got the pace, but in terms of strategy, unfortunately not there yet. Can he turn it around tonight? And I did say to Milan before we started going on air live, he was one of the drivers I'm looking out for, and he might win. So hopefully I haven't put the jinx or commentators cursing him, but so far so good from the Alpine driver as majority of people are in the pits.
A few drivers out on track though, 3 of them at the back of the field, P14, 15 and 16. Junkie Angle starting the lap, and so will Levi in a moment and KDRDN. All 3 of them haven't really set a representative lap time just yet. Junkie Angle, I think he's invalidated twice so far, so let's hope he's going to keep it within those white lines. So we take a look with the Mercedes going very, very narrow there through turn 3. That's something you see very often as he... the map displays purple through sector 1, but we'll find out at the end of the lap. A bit wide on the exit though, but hasn't lost too much time as we don't go down into the braking zone there of turn 5. And accelerating outward using a bit more battery, and now in towards is a very tricky chicane. As we come out and deploy some more battery and out towards this flat out right-hander. If you hit the curb on the inside at the wrong angle, you can really unsettle the rear end of the car, especially in the race, and with the understeer as well, can be quite tricky to manage flat out. As he comes out of the braking zone there off turn 10, bit shaky on the exit, but not too much time lost, as we will now make our way towards the final 2 corners to finish off this lap. It looks like it's finally going to be a clean lap for Junkie Angle. Just the final corner remaining, and he does so quite nicely, but it's going to be an 11.7, which puts him in P5. Just look how close it is. Schlav in P14 has got a 12.0, 3/10 slower, and there's 9 cars separating the two of them. As Cardier goes P13, so we go in between those two, still with a 111.8, and unfortunately Levi has invalidated once again, but it's so incredibly close. P5 to P15 separated by under 3/10 of a second, and it's very close at the top of the times as well. The entire field is within half a second, and if you take out Schlav, it's under 4/10 from P1 all the way down to P14, but it's getting a bit busier out on track as people prepare themselves for their second run. So the Maiko, Moikuri, Milan all out on their lap, so is Melvin just going out in the McLaren as well. As it looks like the Aston Martin of Michele is down at P11, but he has backed off, is preparing to start another lap as well. C8 Lewis on an improvement through sector 1 by a few hundredths of a second. Let's see if they're able to carry through the middle part of the lap as well. As we pass the detection point right now, he's up by almost a quarter of a second there. So great improvement so far. That could jump him all the way up to the second row, to the front row, if he manages to keep this improvement throughout the final sector as well. It could be a very interesting lineup. As Profitox goes second by 9 thousandths of a second behind the Mike. It's so incredibly close tonight. So here comes the other Ferrari of C8 Low to go. P3, 37 thousandths of a second. The two Ferraris both on the two front rows, as one of the Aston Martins into the gravel there. But, well, it is so close. The Mike has just started the lap as well, and he's up all his time, but only by 19 thousandths through the first sector. Let's see if he can fight some more in the middle sector. No, he hasn't. He's lost some time, in fact, as he's now 400ths down on his personal best. As there is a McLaren up ahead. Let's hope he will not get affected by them, as they get out of the way quite nicely there. And now through these final two corners are difficult to gain time through, because they're both flat out. As he comes out of the final corner of the Maiko, will it be an improvement? The answer is no. He's gone quicker in the final sector, but not by enough. And he loses out by a few hundredths of a second. So the Maiko still at the top, but just racing past there was Melvin, and he has started another final lap as well. Let's see what he can do, as he's always a contender for pole position.
He's running turn 3 now as the granddad of the wizard goes up into P3. So now P1-3, Ferrari 2-4, as Melvin is almost 2 and a bit of quarters up in the first sector then. So finding blistering lap time, especially the first sector. But considering though, he's set at 11.8, so that explains why he's up a little bit on his time there, as his first lap time could have been a banker or made a mistake. Here comes turn 7 and turn 8. They're not really hook up the apex, but he does it towards turn 8. Now coming through turn 9, it should be easy flat out with the downforce of the car and the speed. DRS open on the second straight. On the bridge we go, breaking the 100 meter board, down through the gears, and he's almost 4 tenths. This could be pole. Milan Diossi goes a provisional pole. The Italian driver is back on pole position ahead of D'Amico in P2, as Bukalai is P3 in the kick Sauber. But here comes Melvin, round in the final couple of corners he goes, coming towards the last corner, flat out, all the battery being used. He's off the track, he keeps it pinned, he goes P6, he kept that pinned, knowing if he got back on track, he would have gone validated. So what a lap time there for Melvin. I think pole could have been his spot, but unfortunately he made a big mistake towards the final car. Massive mistake. Look at these guys, 11.5 from P2 all the way down to P7. That is tantalizingly close. Margin separating those guys there as well, and anybody could take pole if they find a few hundreds or so. But Milan Diossi, 11.3, has got the gap under 2 tenths of a second there on an absolute flyer from his win at the Austrian Grand Prix. But that was clever from Melvin there to stay off the track and complete the lap time. I don't think nobody is going to be bothered with that one, because I think he did well. He would have slowed him down a bit more, being on the grass and bumping all the way to the line there. But yeah, kept it pinned and got a P6. But I definitely know that if he keeps it nice and tidy on his final run, pole position could be well in his grasp there. We'll see if he can take it. So majority of people then back in the pit lane. Napol is coming towards the final few corners, but he's run out of fuel as he already completes the lap time. Junket Angle in P11 is surprisingly the outlier there in 11th place. He's riding turn 5 now, with Valtteri Bottas went off back in 2019. Now coming through turn 7 and turn 8. As we've seen, I think Nikita Mazepin spin here back in 2021. Now coming through turn 9 we go, flat on our hand. Oh, almost lost the rear of the car. That curb used to be a problem there as well back in the past, but it shouldn't be a problem anymore. We don't really see many people spin or crash there in these days. But here we go through turn number 10 and 11, where we saw Nick de Vries and multiple people spin in 2023 early qualifying as well, when the track was still damp. But I think he's backed off, and I think he might be going back into P8. Pavatox is up into P4. The kick Sauber once again of KDRDN goes up into P5 as well. So great showing from the kick Sauber driver there in P5 with 11.540, and once again doing an impressive job. He qualified P4 back at the Austrian Grand Prix, and he finished in P5 in the race as well. So once again, the kick Sauber driver is going very strong, especially with Mulkalai P3. Like you said, he hasn't turned up since the start of the season. Just to go up into P9 in the Mercedes with 11.5 there. So many people in 11.5s is just unbelievably close, and this sets the stage, this sets the story for the race if it's this close. But Milan Diossi has a bit of breathing space between himself and D'Amico in P2 and Mukalai in P3. But surprisingly, Melvin is in P7. I say surprisingly, it's only a few hundreds separated from P2 to P7. So if he finds one or two more hundreds, he could potentially find himself boost up the order, and let's see that happens. Every single driver is back in the pit lane waiting for the final runs here in qualifying, and let's see who can take pole position in the final stage of qualifying. 3 minutes left to go, calm before the storm. We've got KDRDN and Justin making their way in lap towards the pit lane.
Was Levi who unfortunately invalidated on his second run there, which is why he's going back in the pit lane, but he's got the time to get some fresh rubber underneath his V-carb and go out within time. But yeah, it's so incredibly close. It's Milan Diossi. He's got a bit of a gap towards the Mike, but after that, all the way down to P8, all in the 11.5s, and it's KDRDN 1,000th of a second ahead of Grandada, Melvin 1,000 ahead of C8 Lewis. So this could shake up and towards the end of qualifying. So the top 10 you're seeing right now, well, probably will not be anywhere near as it will be towards the end of the session. As 2 cars already out on track, it's well, P15 and P16, Adameco and Slav, both going out earlier compared to the rest to get in their lap times as soon as possible. They need to find an improvement. They're only 4 and 5 tenths away from pole position, and you're at the back of the field. That is absolutely insane to think about. Also going out is Jungi Anger. He will want to go quicker. He's currently down in P14. For the man P5 in the championship, he needs to get a better lap in right now if he wants to get a good result, because overtaking around this track is really not that easy, especially when you've got big DRS trains at the beginning of the race. Well, you've got the DRS rate, of course, down to start finisher, but if everyone else has DRS around you, it's going to be almost impossible to overtake, and dirty air will play a factor as well, and the increased tire wear around this track. But everyone is going to go out on track for their final few runs. This is about to get very interesting indeed. Can Melvin stick it up together? If he can, then I'm absolutely sure that he's going to be able to take pole position away, but he needs to get that clean run in, as Alan McQuest just started his flying lap. Let's hope he doesn't get impeded by anyone, because it's quite busy through sectors 1 and 2. But the Aston Martin on his final flying lap. If he does make a mistake, though, he's still got the time to go again, which is why he probably went out earlier than everyone else. But through sector 1, he has found already almost 0.2 of a second, and that could jump him up inside the top 10. If he finds some more time, he could very well be towards the front of the field. That's just how close it is so far here in qualifying in PSGL F3 tonight, as he makes his way through turns 7 and 8, keeping it nice and tidy there on exit as well. And now going flat out through turns 9 there and onto the back straight. Bit of the slide on the back end. There's one of the McLarens getting out of the way quite nicely indeed. And he's now up by over 0.2 of a second. If he improves by this much, he could be where Napple and his teammate are at the moment. But if he finds some more time, he could very well be inside the top 10 as he comes out of the penultimate corner now. And 1 corner remains for the Aston Martin driver on his final flying lap. His lap time, where it's going to put him, currently P15, improves up at the P12, just behind his teammate by a few thousandths of a second. And we look at Slav as well in the Red Bull, as he is about to improve on his time, and he goes, actually he stays in P60, but everyone was out on their lap just in the last one to start their flying laps. But let's see where this is going to take us.
Sorry to interrupt, but Jungi Anger has bottled it in the final corner and hit the wall and lost his end plate too for good measure, lost his whole wing. He was only improving by a few hundredths of a second, so it wasn't much, and unfortunately he spun the car around. Alpine towards the line next as well. I think that's the Grandada. He goes on Apple, and Apple goes up into P2, his best qualifying of the season so far. His poor results from P14, 15, 16 as well. Now up into P2 ahead of his teammates, but his teammates improving. Bulkalai goes up into P2 with 11.4 in the Kick Sauber. Here comes D'Amico coming towards the finish line right now in the RP. Can he take pole? Yes, he can. Oh. It's 11.317 from the RP driver. What a lap time. Milan Diossi is down. The Grandad of the Wizard goes up into P3. KDRDN goes up into P5 in the Kick Sauber. And now Michelle goes up into P4 in the Aston Martin. Here comes Milan towards the line. Can he take pole? No, he can't. He misses out by a few hundredths of a second there. But great lap time from DeMarco. Where is Melvin? P10 only for the McLaren driver. The Ferrari on Puffertock's left. Where is he going to go? He's going to go up into P1. Whoa. It's 11.3. He's 7 thousandths quicker. He's on pole position for the first time this season. What a blistering lap time. Somebody didn't expect to be on pole position, but he's done it at the final minutes, the final second, the last drive over the line was the man on pole position, which is Pavatox by 7,000 of a second there. Incredible lap time. Can you believe it as well? The top three with 11.3, and this is going to be such a superb race, an interesting spectacle going towards this race as well. It is a new pole sitter, Pavatox. His best finishers are I think it's P6, I think, in the last couple of races, but he's on pole. Let's see what he could do. It's 11.3, Milan.
Absolutely incredible lap from him at the end. Only 6,000, so 7,000 ahead of P2. Where did that come from? And that secures him pole position around Barcelona. Puts him in a nice spot to get potentially his first podium of the season. De Michael will line up in P2, Milan in P3, but Melvin down in P10. He unfortunately invalidated his final run. It would have been an 11.3. He would have been in P4 if he did not invalidate coming out of the final couple of corners, but unfortunately he did, and that sees him down in P10, so that has significantly reduced his chances of winning this race, but you can never count him out as he's always strong with strategies as well, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on his progression through the race, but well done there from Pavatox. He's on pole position, but he's got the Michael and Milan DLC right behind him, for sure. We want to get by as soon as possible in their championship fight together and against Melbourne in the McLaren. So I'm looking forward to see what they will be able to do, and if Pavatox is going to be able to hold on to that lead and potentially a podium or race win, who knows, at the end of the Spanish Grand Prix. But this is going to be a great race as well, because the entire field within half a second, it's so incredibly close between all these drivers, and for sure that is going to make up for a very, very interesting race in PSGL 3 tonight.
It is indeed, and I can't wait to see how this race unfolds. 33 laps around this track. I want a two-stroke strategy as possible, but which one do you decide to do? Because back in Austria, we saw a few people convert to a two-stop, and it worked towards the end because they're able to push flat out all the way towards the end of the race without having to time conserve or save. Whilst the likes of Melvin, who did that one-stop strategy, was put in a predicament and had to nurse his tyres all the way whilst trying to defend as hard as he could against the likes of Milan towards the end of the race then. So what do you do? What is the best strategy to go for? Is it one stop, just try and conserve? The pit lane loss is quite significant around here too. It's all about making the deficit up towards the end if you do decide to convert to his two-stop strategy as well. But we'll see what the preferred strategies are around here. For people like me who's on a pad controller, I do tend to go for the two-stop strategy because obviously the one-stop is quite difficult to try and produce, but I think the two-stop strategy could work in some people's favours. But we're about to see then. And this sets itself for an interesting race. With all the tyres being bunched up, with them being so close, I think we're going to see a massive DRS train from all the way through this race then. And decide, let's see who goes for the undercut first. Let's see who does convert to a one or two short strategy and split those strategies. Pavatox, his best finish was P6 at the Austrian Grand Prix. Hasn't had a podium just yet here this season. And he has, been in the midfield near around the top 10. But this time he's shown his true pace. Is 11.3 from the forward. Out of nowhere as well, he came at the very last second and took pole position by a fraction of a second as well. 7,000 of a second out here around a track like this. 4.6 kilometers, heavily modified due to the overtaking difficulties we had in the past as well. It's more like MotoGP now when they take the outside line going towards turn 11 and turn 12 and 13. It's a good track for MotoGP as well. I believe the Spanish Grand Prix in Catalonia is the last race of the season for MotoGP, but for F1, it's near towards the start as well, the first part of the season. But we haven't even talked about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix just yet. Max Verstappen won the race, and Lando Norris became Britain's first champion since Lewis Hamilton in 2020. Yeah, 2020, didn't want to get it wrong there, just in case. But congrats to Lando Norris. What an absolute amazing drive, amazing season. But it's full of controversies, full of ups and downs. But in the end, he took it and won. And Max Verstappen, what a comeback drive as well. Only 2 points behind Lando Norris. I'm sure he and his team can be so proud of all the hard work, because it was unexpected, really. If you look at it on paper for the first half of the season, Red Bull were absolutely nowhere. And to come back strong really shows the team's strength and capability to make their way back towards the front despite a difficult season, and showing they never give up. So what a drive from Red Bull, what a drive from Lando Norris, and unfortunate for Oscar Piastri as well. God knows what happened to his form midway through the season. It dropped off suspiciously, but hopefully Piastri can find his form. I'm sure he will, because he's a very quick driver indeed, very calm, very calculated, and I cannot wait for next season. We never know if it's McLaren's last chance to win a championship again because of all the regulation changes. We never know which team could be at the top of the field next season, but strong rumours, the Mercedes powered cars. But I'm looking forward to next season. I can't wait. We've got a long, long winter break ahead of us, 90 days to the Australian Grand Prix, and I'll be taking them down. And I cannot wait to see what happens there as well with the brand new regs. 11th team on the grid, Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas back on the grid for Cadillac, and those two drivers as well with the vast experience they have, hopefully pushing the Cadillac team up the grid as well. And also Audi introduced to the sport as well. Kick Sauber, and Sauber unfortunately gone, but yeah, what a time Sauber has had as well in these past few years. I think the last podium was Nico Hülkenberg in 2025 as well. What a spectacular podium for the German driver, who is still going strong after being in F1 for almost actually 15 years as well. So Nico Hülkenberg, a midfield driver who's never had the opportunity to go to a top team. He should do, but unfortunately never had that chance. And still motivated, still strong, still got some good pace in his hands. Scored 9 points as well. No, not 9 points. 9th place at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix from starting at the back of the field. So Hülkenberg still showing that he's got it in the Kick Sauber. And I can't wait to see. Let's hope that Audi produce a good car for the likes of Gabriel Bortoleto and Nico Hülkenberg. But back towards the Spanish Grand Prix then, we're just waiting for the drivers to ready up. I'm expecting the strategy to be like soft, not soft, medium hard, hard or something like that. But here we go for the lights then, 4 or 5 lights. And we're underway here at the Spanish Grand Prix. The Ferrari gets a decent start off the line then as we head down in towards Turn 1 Milan, side by side with the Michael, the McLaren on the grass. As we head down towards the first corner, we go side by side. The Alpine has the inside line. Milan trying to squeeze, then goes off the track and has still for P3. But here comes the other Alpine of the Grand Dada. The Ferrari spun in the background. The CLU, who's gone for a spin in the back of the field. Unfortunately, a safety car also has been deployed. The VSC has been deployed, and that's because I think the Red Bull driver Slav has spun, unfortunately. It's Melvin.
Melvin. McLaren, he's lost his front wing, so he's been involved in an incident in the first chicane. The virtual safety car's been deployed, but this is terrible news for one of our championship protagonists, as he's all the way down in P14. He's lost his front wing, has to make a pit stop. The VSC will end somewhere throughout this lap, and he will lose an entire pit stop while replacing his front wing as well. So for him, it's going to be a matter of a comeback drive, and he's well outside of a chance of winning this race. So that was the last thing he needed right now. He started in the midfield. It's always tricky in the midfield. There's always something that happens on the opening lap, and unfortunately he is involved. He was not the only one, because C8 Lou was also in the back there as we're going back to green flag racing. No one picking up a drive to repel there, so Levi does improve a position. He's going side by side with Justin. Justin is on the softs, and he also does have front wing damage, one of the end plates missing, as he tries to go around the outside of the RB, but is unable to make that move. But we're at the end of the opening lap. Provotok still in the lead of this race, ahead of D'Amico and Milan Diossi, who we saw had a bigger moment going through the first chicane as a few drivers put into pit, and unfortunately Napol as well, part of the opening lap mess, as he is going to make a pit stop along with Justin. Melvin, of course, with that front wing damage, and Slav in the Red Bull also involved in the opening lap incident. But we're back in green rotation, and D'Amico is close to the back of Provotok, but look at the dirty air going through turn 3 as he's washing out wide and is losing a whole lot of time as we go into the braking zone there of turn 4. But it's all clean at the front so far, with the top 3 remaining as they were, with the Grandin in P4. Then it's Michele in P5. Moikeli has dropped a little bit behind in P6, and so is his team in 7th place, just ahead of Levi in P8, Adamic in P9, and Junkie Angle, the first drive on the hards inside the top 10, with everyone ahead, all on the mediums. And it's already a bit of a gap forming between KDRN and Levi. The gap's 1.8 seconds, so we've got a lead train, which is top 7, but Provotox remaining in the leader race, while some of these drivers having some issues at the back of the field.
Yeah, somebody went deep in the background there as well. I'm surprised Slav went to the soft compound sides at the very start of this race. No, sorry, it wasn't Slav. It was Justin who went to the soft compound sides at the very start of the race. And that's something you don't really do, especially around here in Spain. Was he just hoping that an early safety car would appear? Especially as well, given the difficulty of this circuit, was expected the rain to come as well. Rain could still appear in the circuit. I've seen it before as well. I've actually raced around here in the wet conditions in Spain not too long ago. And in the background, that's the Aston Martin that Vanamaker go past Levi there as well. Is that tactical? Because they're outside the DRS train. They're completely detached now, because there's some cars in front of them picked up damage, and unfortunately they drop backwards as well and outside the train as well. When you break the DRS train, it's so difficult to get yourself back in there as well and follow the pack there. So you're going to have a difficult, hard time of getting themselves back within the pack pack. And let's see what Junkie Angle could do in P10 on the hardcore power tyres, go for a durable stint. But the problem is, though, he's got a few people ahead of him who are quite slow with a broken end plate. I think Levi, like you said, does have a broken end plate. There it is, then the left front end plate is missing on that racing bull, so we just suffer a lot of lack of downforce and therefore lose a lot of time in these mid-speed, high-speed corners. Well, it's going to be absolutely painful. The amount of understate he's encountering right now in that racing bull in P9, but still inside the points, but he's outside the DRS range of Alamico in P8, or just about as well, because he's got himself within that DRS range, but he might lose it in this final sector, and Junker Angle will be all over the back of him in no time. But back towards the front then, this is Pavotox is still leading this Grand Prix, but got a whole bunch of hungry drivers right behind, including the championship contenders of D'Amico and Milan Diossi right behind then. D'Amico still searching for his first win of the season. DRS open for the RP driver. Is he going to go for a move down towards turn number 1? And I think he's wise to it. Backs off for the time being, doesn't go for a move just yet. It's all about settle into a rhythm in these early stages of the Grand Prix, unlike a few drivers where they suffered as well with contact. But look at D'Amico switching lines there. Seems like he got more grip on his medical power tyres in comparison towards the Ferrari as well. But I think Junkie Angle gets past the Racing Bull driver who is suffering with that front wing damage, and down into P10 he goes. He's got Mighty One right behind, but look at the top 7, all compact, all so close to each other, all within each other's dirty air as well. Desperate to get past, but it's so difficult to get past when you're stuck inside that DRS train. But D'Amico in P2 can play it safe, use the DRS the back of Pavotox, defend himself against Milan Diossi, and use him for DRS, try and protect his second place there, and control the race as well, because first and second can control the race whilst others are stuck behind you in that DRS train and can't move forward. But Milan Diossi, we try and force in D'Amico into overtaking Pavotox, so there's a chance as well of trying to get first place as well. But Pavotox still leading this race on those really compound tyres. His best result is P6. Hasn't picked up a penalty yet. Hasn't picked up a podium just yet this season. Best finish was P6 at the Austrian Grand Prix. But now he's got a whole job to do with the loads of cars behind him with good pace as well. D'Amico opens up the DRS again on the back of the Ferrari, but he's responding towards Milan Diossi. I think he's being proactive rather than reactive. So the back of Pavotox in the background as well. We see some few changes there. Mighty Wombat has got past Levi. Levi goes very deep in the Racing Bull. He's just struggling with that front wing damage, unfortunately, hoping for that safety car. Should have pitted on the VSC, but I think he chose not to because he could have lost him a lot of time. Also, he's just struggling so far in the second Ferrari, who got caught up as well, I think, in that contact in towards turn 1 and turn 2. But so far, it is Pavotox who leads ahead of D'Amico and Milan Diossi in P3. The Granddada, however, doing a really good job in P4.
Yeah, he's just holding on 0.7 of a second behind the top 3, just staying within the DRS range, and he's got a full battery to work with as well, so he's managing both the battery tires and the gap towards the car ahead of him. And it's Michele behind in the Aston Martin, also following closely with the 2 Saubers for company. And then the Aston Martin of Alamico is starting to close the gap now towards the top 7, but it's still 1.8 seconds, and he will lose out quite a bit down the start-finish straight when everyone else has got the DRS. As once again D'Amico, he's getting close to the back of Pavotox, but just not quite close enough to go for the move. And the question also is, does he want to go for the move, or does he just choose to stay behind us? Milan Diossi comes knocking as well on the door of the Alpine, getting quite close behind, and now through turn 3, he's very close to the back of the Ferrari, but then gets that understeer and just washing out wide once again, which prevents him from making any moves going in towards turn 4. And it's Pavotox who remains steady in the lead of this race. Of course, like you said, still searching for the first podium, and today is a very good chance of him of accomplishing that. But he's got D'Amico and Milan Diossi for company, which are 2 championship protagonists, so he's going to have a lot of work to do in this race. Big moment there coming out of turn 8, which is an example of the pressure he's on right now. It's just a little moment, a little slip up where he lost the traction, which allows D'Amico to get closer and closer, and he could be lining up a move potentially down the start-finish straight once to go onto lap 7, as once again Schlap into the pit lane, and that is unfortunately end of the race for the Red Bull driver. He has given up. Unfortunately got damage on the opening lap, then put it onto softs, and now he's just realized that it's not going to work out, and he becomes our first retirement of the race, and we remain with 15 and with Melvin in last place at the moment, as there's yellow flags now down to finish straight, so I don't think D'Amico can overtake Pavotox without getting an illegal overtake, so he is forced to stay behind the Ferrari drivers going towards turn 1. So unfortunately for him, no move being made now on the on lap 7 here, as once again Alamico, he is dropped behind a little bit, and he now Junkie Angle is right at the back of the Aston Martin, who is on the hards. So during these laps, the hards might be getting the advantage over the mediums. It takes a few laps for the hards to really get up to speed, and it looks like Junkie Angle has found some speed and he is very close now to the back of the Aston Martin, looking to find a way past potentially soon in the next few laps. And then Mighty Womad at the back of the tent, and that is Levi and C8 Lone going side by side. The driver tries to go for the switchback, but unfortunately unable to get the exit right. And the RB remains in front for the time being, but he's got that front wing damage, and he is really struggling on exit as well. And is that going to allow Ferrari to go up the inside through turn 9, cutting across the inside there a little bit, but they do get the move done. And the Ferrari driver is up to P11, and Levi drops behind even further down to P12, well outside the points. And that front wing damage really hurting him around this track where downforce is so important. And he will drop behind the Ferrari quite quickly as well, as the gap's already 8 tenths, but we're down to start finish rate. The gap's 3 tenths of a second. The Maiko is getting close to the back of Profitox, but will he go for the move going in towards turn 1? Just has half a look at the inside, but chooses to stay behind for now. Doesn't want to risk getting damage himself as Junkie Angle gets past Alamico now. Down to start finish rate to put the Mercedes up to 8th place, and now let's see if he's going to be able to close the gap towards the top 7. The gap's 2.2 seconds right now, as he's on the hards since the beginning of this race, going for an alternative strategy. But let's see if he's going to be able to close the gap towards this massive DRS train covering the entire top 7, led by Profitox. And at the end, it's the two Sours in P6 and P7. But it looks like John Gangle, he's got some pace on his hards, and he might drag Adamico along with him. So who knows if he's going to be able to get back within DRS range. He would quite dearly like to do that, as he started quite far down the field. But he's on a charge back and finds himself in P8. We're at the end of lap 8 right now. Profitox remains in the lead of this race, but the Maiko and Milan DLC keep getting closer each and every single lap. And it's only a matter of time before we see the Alpine try and go for the move, or try and go for the undercut, who knows.
Indeed, Dan. So when is the time to pit to get off these mid compound tyres? Is it 1 or 2 sort of strategies? Milan DLC just pulls out this issue. I think it's a few more laps as well till we see some people pit. I think it's around lap 11 or lap 12, as the Aston Martin McKelly is under massive pressure from Mukalai and KDRDN in P6 and P7. Those two drivers in the King Cybercam are doing a superb job, especially KDRDN as well, who finished, I think, P5 at the Austrian Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago and doing a superb job. He's behind his teammate and stuck in that massive DRS trade. What could Junkie Angle do now? Because his hard compound tyres are surely now in much better shape and form in comparison to those on the medium compound tyres there. So expect him to have some pace, but like I said, it's just so difficult to bring the gap down, especially when the guys ahead of DRS. He keeps gaining in these corners, but on the straights he keeps losing out. He keeps hopping in and outside every single time. The gap keeps fluctuating every single lap, but he's 1.5 away, not too far away. Can he get 1.3 now? So he's really gaining, and he's dragging along the Aston Martin right behind too of Animico in P9. So can Junkie Angle get the DRS in the back of KDRDN in these slow speed corners? He keeps gaining, but it's not enough. Maybe on the next lap as well. But next lap is lap 10. Let's see what happens as we make our way now towards the final corner we go to ride off lap 9. Head on to lap 10 as Profitox still leads this race ahead of Demaiko in P2. All these guys have been very patient so far in this race. Nothing major is happening. Milan Diossi is breaking a toe, trying to get some clean air, trying to cool his engine down because he can overheat significantly. And when that happens, you lose a lot of power as well down the main straight as it buffers out. But still, as the remaining MCR are Profitox P1, Demaiko in P2, Milan in P3. The Granddad, however, holding his own in P4. Really good job, by the way, from the LP driver. So, finished in P4 back at the Monaco Grand Prix. I don't think he appeared in Austria, but doing a superb job so far in the second Alpine. And Alpine as well really desperately need those points, especially for the Constructors' Championship, because I think they're P2 behind McLaren, and they're currently 40 points away, if not 39 points away from the McLaren team. But McLaren so far are not scoring any points because Melvin is down in P14. A massive blunder to his race, breaking his front wing, and I can't see what happened to him, but unfortunately he lost his whole wing, and that could have major factors and complications for his championship, because remember, this is a short season. It's not 24 races, it's not 20 races. I think it is 11 races this season, so not many races in one season. You can't afford to make any sort of mistake, because one bad race unfortunately could have a major effect later on in the season. So you be very careful in terms of mistakes. You've got to keep minimising the mistakes as much as you can and keep it consistent, just like Luke did last season. But unfortunately, he pitted that 10-second, I think he pitted that drafting penalty under VSC in the last race in Brazil. And it was so hectic because we had the final 3 at the Brazilian Grand Prix of Championship. It was Luke. It was, I think, the Lebanese driver, I can't remember what he was called, and it was Stefano too, who was going for the championship, and it was so close as well. But the championship was decided literally after the race, post-race penalties, when I think Stefano unfortunately got himself a penalty for whatever incident he occurred going in towards the Brazilian Grand Prix. It was Wards, yeah, it was Wards in the Kicksaba last season who was going for the championship. And all three of them made mistakes of their own, especially for Stefano as well when he pitched up puncher back in Saudi Arabia. Luke pretty much was consistent until the last race when he pitched up the judgment penalty, and Wards retires early door back at the Hungarian Grand Prix at Turn 4, back in USA when he crashed out at Turn 2. So any sort of slip up, any sort of blunders can lead or can have a massive lead on effect and spoil your races, spoil the championship for you as well. Junkie Angle in P10 or P8, sorry, can't seem to catch the top 7. He's 1.5 seconds away. I would have thought by now on the hard compound tyres, that crossover point between the mediums and hards, these guys still extended. It indicates to me that this is going to be a loss of strategy, because if it was a two-stop, I think they would have pitted by now to get off those big compound tyres. But DeMico, he's right behind the Ferrari, closed the DRS, not good for the overtake yet. He's being very smart and strategic about it as well. We don't like to see it when it comes to F1 League racing, where these guys don't go for a move, but in terms of the race, these guys are being very smart. Every single person in P2 will do the exact same thing and not go for the overtake, because it's a high-speed game of chess where you've got to place yourself at the right time, and be beneficial for you later on in the race as well, when you can attack later on in the Grand Prix. But Milan Diossi is right behind too. Remember when these two got close together back at the Monaco Grand Prix? Milan dived down the inside in towards Raskas, but unfortunately Milan got a 3-second penalty and dropped into third place, and he won the Austrian Grand Prix one race later as well. But still, DeMico's going for the first win. He's doing a really good job right now, and still his chances are opened up, and let's see what he can do from here. The Grandada, however, is under massive pressure with McKellany in P5 and Mukalai and KDRD in P5, P6 and P7 as well. So those guys are still in this DRS train, 5 so long. 21 laps left to go in this race. It's still Pavatox who leads this race.
The fight continues on just over a third of the way through of the Spanish Grand Prix. Yeah, it's Milan Diossi going into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. He's going to go for the undercut. And is he going to go for the two-stop? It's the question. Or will he do 21 laps on those hards? Following him in is Michele in the Aston Martin. So let's see if he's going to go onto the hards. Most likely he is. And then he will try to make it to the end on those tires, but he's going to have to do some big tire management in his second stint. If he does go into the hard compound tires, so does the Aston Martin right behind. But now the question is, will the drivers at the front respond to this strategic decision by Milan Diossi, because he will have the tire advantage now on this lap, and this could cost him, well, this could gain him a few positions, potentially second place or even P1 if Provatox and DeMico lose that much time on their final on this lap. The gap 7.5 tenths between the two, as Provatox seems to be pushing right now to try and cover off Milan Diossi, so something tells me that Provatox is going to be putting into the pit in the end on this lap as well, as he's really starting to push on these medium tires, really starting to build a gap now towards DeMico. But DeMico, he might be vulnerable to the undercut that Milan Diossi has just placed, as these guys for sure will be coming to the pit lane quite soon as well, as Provatox coming out of the penultimate corner. And let's see if he's going to peel off to the right hand side into the pit lane. Here we go, and the answer is yes. And so is DeMico right behind. The Grandada continues on, of course, can't double stack. And with the Alpine team also Moikuli into the pit lane, KDRDN will have to continue on, as they're all coming to the pit lane right now. Provatox, DeMico and Moikuli, our race leader, into the pit lane, going on to a brand new set of hearts. But now the question is, where will Milan Diossi be when those two drivers are coming out of the pit lane? As Milan Diossi coming out of the final corner right now. Provatox just exiting the pit lane with DeMico very close behind, but through down the start finish straight comes the RB. Is he going to be ahead of Provatox and DeMico? He's going to be ahead of DeMico for sure. He's going to be behind Provatox. He's going to be in between the two of them. So that is perfectly well timed there from Provatox, but he's still on those colder hard tires, and this is the time that Milan Diossi needs to find and fight a way past, where Provatox is just ahead, and it's really difficult to overtake in the middle part of this lap. So it seems like Provatox has done just enough to remain in the lead of this race, but Milan Diossi, he has placed the undercut successfully on DeMico, his championship rival at least. But Provatox, by pushing that hard on his in-lap, has remained him in front of the RB driver. But boy, was that close between these three. But it's a change in the top three. Provatox still in P1 provisionally, but Milan Diossi now ahead of DeMico.
Indeed it is then. So Milan Diossi in a prime position, and do what DeMico did in the last stint. I keep thinking I see rain here for some reason. My eyes keep deceiving me, but no rain is going to appear for the time being. I think the last time we had rain around here in Spain in a race was 1996 or 7 when Michael Schumacher went on to win that race as well. But the rest of the people are in the pit lane, except Junkie Angle, of course, because it's too early to pit, and I don't think he ought to be doing that two sort of strategy. And I don't think his strategy is working either, because he spent a long time behind these guys. And Milan Diossi decides to go for the lead of the Grand Prix now in towards turn 1 as he swoops through, dives up the inside and takes the lead, and he decides he wants to be in first place for the time being then, and now he controls the pace, and let's see how the others respond. So where is the Grandada? He rejoins the P6. Watch out for him as well on a younger set of the hardcore pound tyres. Could be very quick towards the end, as like I said, he's been stuck in this DRS tray for such a long time. KDRDN, who pitted on the same lap as Grandada, has dropped outside the DRS range down in P8 and under pressure from Andy Mikko in P9 then. So KDRDN has dropped away outside the DRS tray, so it became a 6-way fight between first place. But can he get himself back within that DRS range on the younger hardcore power tyres? We'll see. But Milan Diossi seems very comfortable so far in first place, and he could be going for his second win of the season. So D'Amico in a bit of a compromised predicament here in P4. He's got Provotox in front of him with the DRS at the back of Milan, and we've seen how difficult it is to overtake around here in Spain when you're third or fourth behind the DRS tray. So it looks like the chances for him are getting slimmer and slimmer for him as well in P4. And can he clear Provotox is the main question. Had he wished he'd done it in the first stint, but unfortunately he hasn't, and now he's going to do it in the second stint. But we know Provotox has the DRS at the back of Milan, which makes it even harder for the Mike to try and get past him as well. And McKelly in P5 just struggling to stay in DRS range just a tad there as well in the Aston Martin. What's happened now? Napo has left the session. Where has he dropped down to? First place, apparently, it says on our timer screen. So he's dropped to first, gone up to first place, I must say, but that's a timing glitch, obviously. I've seen this before when somebody's left the session and they went on to lead the Grand Prix. So ignore that. For those people who've just joined, Napoli is not in first place. It's just a timing glitch on our screens there as well. It happened before in a different race. So Milan Diossi is your effective race leader. Junkie Angle in P2 is on the old set of hardcore power tyres. Hasn't pitted yet. He's on the hard starter. And possibly hope for a safety car now, but I think it's a bit too early to pit to get on the mid-car power tyres there. There we go. He's dropped back into P15 and in last place. What a shame for Napoli, because I think he had a superb qualifying here at the in qualifying in Spain earlier on. Yeah, he did. He started down in 8th place into the top 10. He qualified last in the last couple of races, did at Napoli, but unfortunately just internet seems to be bothering him and just can't seem to catch a break, just like Polymacci last season. Polymacci, who had plenty of internet problems, just couldn't seem to get himself in a good position. But Polymacci won 3 races in a row in the first 3 races of the season, and now he's left. He's gone to F1, and hopefully he's doing all right, because I haven't really checked what happened in F1 so far, but hopefully the former Haas man here is doing a really good job, or McLaren driver, shall I say, is doing a good job and keeping like good progress, like his teammate did to Luke as well, who's moved up to F1 as well. But Milan Diossi P2 then controls the pace ahead of Provotox in P3. Is Provotox in a good position now to win this Grand Prix? Use the DRS at the back of Milan and attack him later in the Grand Prix. It's all about conservative as well. It's a high-speed game of chess, but none of them are really attacking. They're all just focusing on the last stage of the Grand Prix, just making sure the right place at the right time as well. But can Milan Diossi pull away and break the DRS from Provotox, who seems to be struggling just a bit on the back of the Racing Bull driver, and the Mike could be poised to get himself ahead of the Ferrari driver just in case he does drop outside the DRS range there as well. As Junkie Angle finally pits there to go for the hardcore power tyres, what can he do? And where will he rejoin? Possibly behind P9 is my prediction. And he'll be quicker than midi-core power tyres. Can he make up any ground on those new set of midi-core power tyres? We're about to find out. It's lap 18 out of 33 then. It's Milan Diossi who leads. There is Junkie Angle just in the pit lane there, ready to go on the midi-core power tyres and get himself out in this race. He rejoins behind Andy Mickey, and he is in P9. A long deficit to make up as well. Can he do on the midi-core power tyres? Will he be a threat towards these guys as well later on in this race? There's about 15 laps left to go in this race still. 15 laps to midi-core power tyres is doable, but his tyres might drop off towards the end of the race too. We'll find out. But let's see what happens towards the end of this race. KDRDN, however, is doing a really good job. He saw the gap was over 2 seconds a couple of laps ago. Now it's under 1 second, almost under 1 second. His teammate's right in front of him, Mukalai, so maybe drop backwards to give his teammate a bit of DRS there as well to help him to get himself back in his battle. And he's on a young set of hardcore power tyres too, so looking good for KDRDN, but unfortunately, those two Saabers, the RP driver, the Grandada, and McKinley in P4, are just stuck in that big DRS train. That's the problem these days in Formula One, isn't it? Just these guys in a massive DRS train, and it just feels so hopeless as well when you're stuck there, and not realizing you can't do anything about it. I've raced in Spain before in F1, and unfortunately, in these F1 cars, and unfortunately, I know what it's like to be stuck in the DRS train. You just can't seem to move forward whatsoever. You're just hoping for somebody in front of you to make a massive mistake. Do you agree, Milan?
Yeah, it's very difficult, especially on this game with the dirty air added as well. So we're just going to see these massive DRS trains and nobody able to move. And especially with Milan DLC space at the front, he's definitely got the strongest space, I'd say. Or at least got the best advantage over Profitox. But he just is able to stay within DRS range, which means this DRS train stays intact. As we saw Jungle Angle make his pit stop. I thought it was a bit early for him to go to the mediums, because it's going to be quite a long stint on those mediums. He will struggle towards the end of the race unless he manages his tires quite early on. But that's up to him to decide, as the gap has shrunk towards Adameco, but it's quite a lock up there going in towards turn 5. The gap's 1.1 for the Mercedes driver, and once he does get past the Aston Martin, all he needs to do is stay within the DRS range, or get within the DRS range of KDRDN in P7, who in the meantime has finally got back in towards the DRS train, with rear-ended there by Moikeli in P6. So it's back towards a 7-way fight at the moment for the race win, but I really don't see any of these guys getting any way higher than P6 or P5, because it's just that much stuck. And Michele in P4 still within the arrest range of the Maiko, but the gap's now on 0.8 of a second. Definitely seems like it's Milan, Diossi, Profitox and the Maiko are real contenders for a race win, and behind they will be fighting it out for the final spots inside the top 10, as Michele is dropping behind a little bit, as Jungi Angle setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:14.2, and there he goes past Adameco in towards turn 1. The Mercedes drives up to P8 and now has to close a gap of 2.7 seconds towards KDRDN, as Melvin into the pit lane. Haven't really talked much about him since the beginning of this race, but those hard tires do not last an eternity, and after 17 laps he's going to go for another set of mediums, and all he can hope for is a safety car, because at the moment there is no way he's going to score any points in this race, which is heartbreaking for him. I'm not really sure what happened on the opening lap, but I did see him run without a front wing as he comes out in P14 on a brand new set of mediums to, probably take the fastest lap of the race, but he will not be inside the points, unfortunately for him. Race to forget, unless there's a very late safety car, but then again, you will all be stuck in that DRS train, but that's the only thing he can hope for at the moment in this race. But Milan Dios at the front, he's got a full battery to work with, and so does Profitox in P2, and then the Maiko with 70% as well. As we go out of lap 20 onto lap 21, the gap's 0.5 of a second between our two race leaders, as Profitox is doing a good job of staying within the arrest range of Milandios. He's getting quite close, in fact, as we go towards turn 1, but not close enough to go for any kind of move. So once again, a fast lap of the race there for Jungi Angle, and the gap is now 2 seconds towards KDRDN. Of course, he will struggle to close the gap down the start-finish rate, because he knows that everyone else ahead of him got the DRS. He's also dropped Adameco immediately out of his DRS range, but the middle sector is where he can really gain that time. Jungi Angle can in the Mercedes. Now it's 1.7, make that 1.6, and now 1.5, so he's gaining a couple of tenths here and there on this lap. So it's going to be a matter of time for him before we see him in this DRS train as well, and it will turn into an 8-way fight potentially for the race win. Who knows what crazy things can happen in these final 12 laps. Spinner ahead. It is Moikeli. Moikeli is spun around. Nearly gets collected there by Jungi Angle and Adameco, but he has clipped the inside curb there of turn 9, and that is very unfortunate indeed, and that has eliminated him very well out of this fight at the front. He drops all the way down to P10 behind C8 Lou. Of course, the tires will not like that spin either, as that is really, really unfortunate for him, as Justin picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's the first one to do so, in fact. Took 22 laps for someone to get a 3-second time penalty, but really, really unfortunate there for Moki. It was in for such a good result, running in P6 for the majority of this race, but now unfortunately down in P10, and well outside the chance of getting a top 5 result. And as a result of that, his teammate KDRDN is back out of the DRS range of the top 5, and it will make him vulnerable towards Jungi Angle, who is now within the arrest range of the Kick Sauber, and will be looking to make the move potentially on the following lap, whilst KDR then is going to try hard to get back within the arrest range once again of the top 5 with the Grandada there in P5. And Michele is still following as there is the fastest lap of the race there for Melvin at 1:13.4. I don't think anyone at the front is going to be able to beat that. So he's pretty much got that locked in, as he's looking to find a way past Justin as well. But at the front, it has still remained calm since these pit stops, with Milan Diossi in the lead ahead of Profitox, but the Ferrari driver is quite close now to the back of the RB, but just lose too much time with the understeer and with the dirty air through these final 2 corners, and that makes it just way too difficult to try and go for any move coming out of the final corner. The gap's once again 4/10 of a second. We see Milan Diossi going to the inside to try and defend his position, using the battery as well to try and remain in front of the Ferrari driver, who's really starting to close in, but he's just going to fall short, and Profitox has to stay in second place. But it's heating up here at the front. We've got 10 laps to go after this one. Will Milan Diossi be able to hold on, or is Profitox or maybe Demaiko going to be able to snatch away that victory at the end of this race?
Talk about heat stop as well. The rear tyres are definitely heat stop, because I look at people's steering wheels and it says 113 or 116 degrees. Milan Diossi had his tyre temperatures up to 160 degrees, and that is very hot indeed then. So it looks like some people are struggling with the rears and having to do a lot of managing as well, and trying to get those rears under temperature to make sure they don't spin out or lose the car as well for good measure, especially in places like this, turn 7 and turn 8, and turn 9 too. Turn 9 has caught a lot of people out as well. And I've seen in the background a few people just going off the track in turn 9 as well. One of the Kick Saubers and one of the Mercedes drivers as well also just exploited challenges there. But now Junkie Angle is in this battle. He's in 7th place on the Mini Compound tyres. Can he go forwards, or is he a victim with his DRS train? Because he's on the better Mini Compound tyres. He needs to use the peak performance of those Mini Compound tyres to make his way through this field. First driver is KDRDN in P6. Can he make his way through? There he is, the background where he spun as well, or went off the track. Yeah, he did spin in the qualifying in the final corner, and he validated 2 in his previous lap. So two double blunders in qualifying there. Hopefully he doesn't make any mistakes in the final corner, but can't get past still. He's in P7, and if he stays there, unfortunately, he's hard to be the strategy has of words, because he wants to use mini compound tyres to make his way through. But unfortunately, this DRS train is just halted his performance and just can't seem to get anywhere closer and forwards. But Milan Diossi is right behind the Williams, and that is Napoli as well. So maybe pick up the DRS at the back of the Williams driver. I'm not quite sure if Napoli's back. No, he's not, because that's the AI driving his car. You can clearly see the steering animation there. It tells you the AI is driving, but hopefully it's a ghosted car and can get his way through easily. So hopefully there's no interruptions or obstacle. But the Williams pulls to one side. That's the AI pulling to one side. Hopefully he stays out of the way. Hopefully, we head down towards turn 10. I'm not quite sure what the rules are right now, but it looks like the Williams is slowing people down and gets out of the way. Yeah, they let people through. That's the Williams who is causing the yellow flag there, which is Napoli. He's not back in this session. It's just AI respectfully get out of the way and causing hopefully no problems there. But Milan Diossi then rounds off lap 25. Profitox playing very smart, doing what Demaiko did in P3 on the first stint when he was in P2. He's now following the leader, chased him down and waiting for the right moment to strike on lap 31, 32 or 33. He's playing the long game here, just waiting for the final moments here in this race to strike, while Demaiko is sat frustrated and fluttered in P3, knowing this could have been his chance to win as well. But unfortunately, he got undercut by Milan Diossi. Milan Diossi went for the overtake in towards turn 1 on lap 15, I think it was, and took the lead of the Grand Prix ever since. Controlled the race beautifully, but it's not done just yet, because he could still be under massive pressure later on this race when the guys behind have DRS wide open. But crucially as well, look at his ERS management, still 90% despite leading this train. So he's still managing this ERS really well, and he could negate the attack from Profitox later on this race. If he has enough battery, he can counteract his attack and stay in the lead of the Grand Prix by using the ERS down the straight and hopefully staying there in first place whilst Profitox has the DRS wide open. So let's see if Milan can keep the ERS up to good, standing them out to protect himself against the Ferrari driver and the RP driver too. He keeps building about 6, 7 tenths, 8 tenths of a second there as well. So if he has at least 8 tenths, 7 tenths of a second on the final few laps of the Grand Prix, he should be safe and use the ERS down the straight too. So let's see if Milan Diossi could do it. And if he does win this Grand Prix, it'll be second win this season. Mercedes has gone for a spin down there, and that is Justin having a bit of excursion on the grass there, unfortunately, and suffering this race as well, down in P14. And Junkie Angle, I think he's confirmed now he's stuck in P7. He can't move anywhere. It's a stalemate for him. And CA Liu has overtaken the Kick Sauber driver, who goes up into P9 now in the Ferrari. Also having a decent race too, it must be said here in the fall. He struggled the Austrian Grand Prix, finished outside the top 10, but currently running inside the top 10 now in P9 and still battling away with Mukili in P10. But back in the front now, it is still Milan Diossi who leads his Grand Prix by 5 to the second. I think what he needs, as Justin retires in the pit lane, he knows that Pavatox is going to go for it on the last lap or two. So I think Milan Diossi will try and save as much battery as he can and build up a healthy amount of distance between himself and Pavatox in the last few of the Grand Prix. He seems very strong in the last sector, but can he keep the gap between 7 or 8 tenths of a second? That's the question. That's the key for him.
As we go on to lap 27, and once again yellow flags down the start-finish straight, so Pavatox will not be able to go for any moves, as that's the Mercedes coming out of the pit lane at a very awkward place. Let's hope he doesn't get into the way of anyone here. That is, they're not ideal there for Grandada trying to navigate their way around them, and that really doesn't help any of these trucks.
No!
And there's contact, I think, and it's the Grandada there who has run into the back of the Mercedes, got front wing damage, now finds himself side by side with the KDRDN, who goes around the outside, and so will Junkie Angle in a moment's time. But that is very unfortunate for the Grandada, as Levi is retired in pit lane. But Grandada with such a strong race so far, but now that front wing damage has really costed him as he gone down to P7, whilst Junkie Angle now goes through as well. But the Alpine, very unfortunate, and he will lose a lot of positions with that, and that's not in his control, and nor was it within the control of Justin, who just retired in pit lane, which is the procedure. But his AI running out of the pit lane onto the track and into the path there, unfortunately there, of the Alpine, and who has paid the price for it, and he will be dropping down, so it's down to a 6-way fight. And once again KDRDN finds himself outside of the DRS range, this time of Michele, and he will be vulnerable now towards Junkie Angle, who's going to have the DRS as we go on to the start-finish rate. Got 5 tenths of a second separated between himself and the Kicksauer. He will not be close enough to go for any moves, unfortunately, whilst the Kicksauer tries to get back within that 1 second window to the Aston Martin up ahead. But just could see that something was going to happen there with the Mercedes coming out of the pit lane, the AI, and unfortunately it did for Grandada, who he is continuing on with the front wing damage. There's only 5 laps to go after this one, but he has got quite a bit of damage there on the right hand side, and Alamico will be knocking on his door quite soon as well, and so I'll say so will C8 Lou, but he's almost a full 10 seconds behind, so we'll see if they're going to be able to close that gap. But it might still be a P8 result for the Grandada, but definitely not what he deserves after a strong race it has been for him so far. But we're on lap 28 now of 33, 5 laps to go after this one. Milan DLC still controlling the pace at the front of the field, ahead of Provatox, who has used a bit more battery now than down to 30%, whilst Milan DLC is still almost got a entirely full battery, so he's really managing that battery quite well, and managing the distance as well towards Provatox, like you said. If he has that 7-10 gap, something around that going on to start finish rate, he will be safe no matter if Provatox has got a full battery and slips him in DRS or whatever, as he's just unable to close the gap when Milan DLC's got a full battery to defend with on these final few laps. But Provatox once again getting within 3 tenths of a second. But that is not enough to go for the move, as Alamico gets past the Alpine of the Grandada, who is now down to P8. I think he should be able to hold on to P8 at least, as the gap's just a little bit too large towards C8 Lou and Moikli, but still a very unfortunate moment there for the Alpine.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Wizard down there in P8, who was running a solid race and just inside the top 5 as well. Hoping to score another top 5 finish like he did at the Monaco Grand Prix when he finished in P4. But unfortunately, the AI cost him hugely as well, and nothing could do about that one whatsoever. The AI just intervening with the leaders, and yeah, I was expecting him to be a ghosted car, but unfortunately just got in the way of the RP driver. Huge respect as well for KDRDN to get himself back in DRS range, because that's like 2 or 3 times he's been outside of DRS range and somehow managed to get himself back in there. It really tells you and displays as well how fresh air is king around here as well, so crucial. And having fresh air, get yourself back in DRS range and being stuck again. So he's been stuck throughout the whole race. It must be so painful and frustrating knowing you can't go anywhere the whole race and just being cemented into one spot on the whole race. I just can't move anywhere. But these guys are breaking the solution as well. I noticed that Provatox ES is worse than Milan Diossi. On the last lap, he had about 10%, while Milan Diossi had about 50-60%. So his ES management has been so sufficient and very vital, very important for him as well in the last in this race, because it could pay dividends later on in this race. especially on lap 32 and lap 33, is when we'll see the overtaking happen as well. It's this bit of cat and mouse games, really. Just these guys knowing what to do in a long battle to this game, the longevity of this game as well, and controlling the pace. DeMico will be so frustrated in P2 with that undercut provided by Milan Diossi. I bet he'll be praying and wishing that he pitted first so we can have this chance of a battle and for the race win. But unfortunately, he's been undercutted again, hasn't he? Like the Monaco Grand Prix. In Monaco Grand Prix, he was undercutted twice by Melvin, and he overtook him the first time because Melvin's tyres were dying towards the end, literally on the medium as well as he was on the hard compound tyres. And in the second stint, he couldn't overtake him because Melvin undercut him again, but this time they were both on the hard compound tyres. Melvin's tyres was a bit more endured than the mid compound tyres, a bit more durable. There we go, a bit more durable, and therefore Melvin defended against DeMico for P3, but DeMico once again got undercutted, and that's his worst nightmare this season, being undercutted, and it hasn't paid dividends for him whatsoever as well. But it's another P3 finish though, a consistent with the podiums. He's had 3 podiums this season. Back in Australia, when he finished P3, back in Austria P2, back in Monaco P3 or P2/A. But yeah, he's done a really good job as well, as DeMico must be saying. Very consistent, but he's still looking for that first win of the season. You never know, in these last 3 laps, anything could happen. But it's all down to Pavlovsky and Milan to sort it out for the lead of the Grand Prix. And boy, what the last few laps is going to be as well. When will Pavlovsky strike? Is the last lap where people tend to go for? Or is he going to go for an unorthodox move and try and go for on lap 32? Because lap 33 is too predictable. So is it lap 32 on the next lap? He might go for it because leaving it on the last lap, he's going to limit your chances of winning. Has Milan Diossi got this covered? Is he going for his second win of the season? We're about to find out in the next couple of laps. Can Milan defend for Pavlovsky? When will Pavlovsky decide to strike? Can DeMico get involved? Mikel is in P4 and still be following in this DRS train for a long time as well. Don't exclude him. KDRDN and Juga Angus. The DRS is wide open. The battery is being used on the straight. Can Pavlovsky strike as we head down in towards turn 1? Is he close enough to make a move? No. It's all down to the last lap, Milan.
Yeah, it is. He's not quite close enough to go for this move on this lap. They're both recharging their batteries for one final lap. The tires will start to scream as he's been on this tire for 19 laps in Milan Diossi's case, and it looks like he's starting to struggle on those hards. And Pavlovsky, he is getting close. He's been closer than he was on the previous few laps. The gap's now 0.3 of a second, but a bit of a mistake though into the braking zone of turn 5, which allows DeMico to get close as well. But he will not be able to do anything as long as Pavlovsky has got the DRS. But they're both recharging, and their batteries are around 80% for Milan Diossi. Pavlovsky, he's around 65%, but he will have the DRS once again down this straight to close that gap even further going on to the final lap. And if he is within 3/4 of a second, he sure will have a chance of getting past the RB going on to the final lap. Now 0.3 of a second. It could get very close, and maybe even closer than Milan Diossi would have wanted, as now accelerating out in towards the penultimate corner. 3/4 separating our 2 race leaders as we go into the final lap of this race. Milan Diossi is going to try and break the slipstream. The DRS is there for Pavlovsky, but will he be close enough? As Milan Diossi will try to defend the inside line of Willy, and Pavlovsky is going to try and go round the outside in towards turn 1. Tries to go late from the brakes, but it is very well defended there from Milan Diossi. He has covered off the first attack there of the Ferrari, and was that the last opportunity for Pavlovsky to try and get past, because around the rest of the track it is quite difficult to overtake. So Milan Diossi holds on to P1, but will he be able to do that for the rest of the lap as well? That is the question here on the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix.
Milan Diossi is just a few corners away from completing what's been a sensational drive here today. He started this race with P3, kept himself calm through the opening phase, and he's absolutely nailed the undercut when he mattered the most. That decision, that moment to pit early and do the outlap completely changed the direction of his race. Once he hit clean air, he was untouchable. Lap after lap, he delivered relentless pace, inch perfect lines, and not a single mistake under pressure. His time management has been flawless. His racecraft calculated, and every strategic strategy has gone his way, because he executed perfection. This has been a champion's performance, controlled, intelligent, and ruthlessly quick. Through the final corners he goes now. Milan Diossi has stamped his authority over this race. From the rest, he chugged the undercut, and here he is towards the final corner. A brilliant drive from Milan Diossi. It's his second win in a row. Milan Diossi wins the Spanish Grand Prix to complete a fantastic drive from the Italian driver. A brilliant drive, a brilliant strategy, a brilliant race result as well. Incredible drive from the Italian driver, who holds off the threat from the guys behind on the second stint. Milan Diossi is on top once again, and thoroughly a deserved win as well. I thought he could weave like crazy down the straight, but only weaved a few times, just about the limit of the rule book there as well. And Provotox, unfortunately for him, left it too late, didn't have the straight line speed to get him down in towards turn number 1. Milan played that beautifully. He drove in his mirrors tonight, looking backwards the whole time to see where his rivals would go, and D'Amico rounds off the top 3 with another P3 finish. He'll be absolutely devastated with that one for sure, knowing there's a chance. But unfortunately, again, he got undercutted by Milan Diossi. Milan Diossi, though, what a drive from him once again for the Italian driver. 2 wins in a row, and this really does spice things up in the championship. I think he could potentially take the championship lead away from Melvin, and Melvin will be looking back and thinking this could have been a race where the championship may have been decided, but the championship, of course, is decided over the whole season, not just one race. But this one race has huge influence, because I don't think he'll score any points that in P12. So this could be the race where he could have lost the championship, just like Verstappen did this season back in Spain, as I know he doesn't like to admit it, but at the same time, he lost a lot of points. Milan Diossi in the Racing Bull wins ahead of Provotox, and Provotox, his first podium of the season, outstanding. He may have been disappointed and let down by not having the race win, but still, step by step, his first podium of the season, and there's still more to come with that incredible pace in the Ferrari as well. Next race is at the Silverstone Grand Prix, the British GP, where it all started in 1950 for the first Formula 1 championship, official championship, and we head over to Silverstone next week. Milan Langer, thank you so much for commentating with me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you this season, and once again, I think we masterclass this race.
Exactly. I agree very much, and thank you very much as well. It was another enjoyable race, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the races. And congrats to Milan Dios with an incredible drive and a second win in a row. Certainly, and a good, enjoyable race here at Barcelona. And I can't wait to see what's in store for us next week at Silverstone.
Well, there is 5 races left to go this season here in season 41. It is Silverstone, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and the last race is in Abu Dhabi. So 5 races left to go, not many races left to go now. And these drivers can't afford to make any mistakes. Hopefully, this is Melvin's first and last mistake, but he's got a huge comeback drive to do in the next few races, because we know how critical these points are. Remember last season F3, as most of you remember, but we had such a epic championship battle. It kept fluctuating, it kept changing every single moment, and it changed after the race. Post-race penalties were applied, and it was the man who was unlikely to win the championship after having bad luck and not having the pace he needed throughout the whole season. It was Wards who won the championship, surprisingly as well. But anything can happen here in PSGL. Stay tuned. Next week is the British GP, and we'll see you all later. Goodbye for now. Take care, and have a good evening.